Also, dann hauen wir jetzt die Koch Primetime E3 2021 Live-Präsentation uns mal noch an. 2 Stunden geht das in etwa. Ja, bin ja mal gespannt, ob wir hier innerhalb der nächsten paar Minuten einpennen. Übrigens, der Audiomix ist sehr mies. Die ersten paar Minuten.
The first one is to introduce you to Koch Media's brand new
Kotsch.
premium gaming label. Number two is to take
Können nur wie
a deep
deutsche
dive
Koch
into some of the games
sagen.
of that label. And finally, number three is to show you what the new label will be getting up to
Achtung,
in the streaming world.
Earphone-Users, ich sag, wann ihr eure Earphones leiser machen müsst.
Some of you guys are guys who I have looked up
Oder
to
ich mache das für euch. Wisst ihr was? Ich mache den Service, ich mache euch den Stream leiser und lauter.
I am so proud to introduce Jeff Keighley, who will be helping me co-host us through this entire list of games. Jeff, how's it going?
Thanks, Opal. It is so great to be here with you for the first ever live stream from Prime Matter. I was honored yesterday to reveal the label to the world at the Summer Game Fest kickoff event. And wow, you've got a lot of games there in that sizzle, over a dozen games. So I know today you're going to go a little bit more in depth to talk about all these games, to talk to a lot of the developers. But for those of you that might have missed it yesterday or just want to see it again, let's kick things off with a look at that announcement sizzle reel for Prime Matter.
So. Hier, vielen Dank. Hier habe ich das erste Mal leiser machen müssen, weil es jetzt sehr laut wird.
What it all means. Let's begin. Is that who you are?
My
Nein.
purpose makes me who I am.
I finally have the feeling we're doing something worthwhile.
Being relied on to succeed where others would fail.
Was ich aber auch ein bisschen schade finde, ist, dass viele Live-Events, die eindeutig nicht live sind, als Live-Event ausgestrahlt werden, obwohl du mittlerweile ja über YouTube und Co. ja Premieren machen kannst. So können wir gleich hier lauter machen.
Yes, guys, you just saw 12 games and counting. And that's just the start for Prime Matter. But before we get into these incredible games, what I like to call the juicy bits, I want to talk to you about what Prime Matter is and who we are. Prime Matter is the new premium gaming label of Koch Media. It dedicates itself to delivering a range of immersive.
Es triggert mich als Deutscher, wenn Koch Media, Kotsch Media gesprochen wird.
It highlights the varied influences of global studios and their different approaches to game making. The new label will lead through creativity and expression, with games that enthrall players, with larger-than-life storytelling, create incredible moments.
Und man merkt, wie viel sie vom Teleprompter abliest.
The team behind Prime Matter is a melting pot of incredible talent, led by seasoned industry veterans and complemented by a young, fresh, dynamic team of multicultural gaming experts. The team behind are gamers at heart, working with such a wide range of passionate developers producing games together by gamers for gamers. And that being said, for all you keen-eyed individuals out there, you would have seen that one game was actually missing in our 12-game lineup for Prime Matter during the video. That is a game that comes from the Embracer family itself. Jeff got to sit down with Todd Hollinshead and talk all about Painkiller.
All right, you saw the news yesterday.
Ich war gerade so ein bisschen
coming, and Todd is joining me now to
bitte
give us a few
schnell
more details. I know,
gucken, dass wir nicht hier uns die Ohren wieder wegfliegen.
Project for the team at Saber, and you
Aber
guys,
Gott sei Dank, es kam kein Trailer.
You and Tim Willits are there, continuing to build out Saber. And Painkiller was a franchise.
Der arme Geoff Keighley wird von mir verdeckt. Warte mal.
Was it probably 15 years
Ist
ago?
es besser?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oder ist
closer to 2 decades
das
than
besser?
1.
My God. All right. Well, but it's one of those classic games. Let me ask you from a Prime Matter perspective,
besser,
you know, you've
oder?
been in the industry like me all those years, and we remember that game. Why was this a franchise that you guys wanted to sort of bring back?
Well, you know, Painkiller, when I played it back in the early 2000s, this was a game that had, you know, it was dark, a little twisted, intense, cool guns. These are the things that, you know, kind of hit the nail on the head of what appeals to me in a video game, both as, you know, as a fan and then also as a publisher at Saber. So, you know, we're hoping to capture those same sort of elements and bring those into the new game.
Yeah, you know, you guys are certainly masters of doing shooters from all your time at id, and Painkiller, you know, does have a lot of that DNA of, you know, fast-paced action with a little bit of a twist to it, and you know, the fact you guys are working with Prime Matter is also exciting. You know, brand new publisher, brand new label.
Aber warum Prime Matter? Reicht denen hier Deep Silver nicht mehr?
And you know, it's such a diverse lineup of companies and partners around it. You know, I know you guys work with a lot of publishers, but it's pretty exciting to see a new label announced. That doesn't happen every day.
No, it doesn't.
Aber ich finde es irgendwie ein bisschen schwach, dass jetzt irgendwie auch nur noch Labels mittlerweile angekündigt werden müssen, weil du da wenig zu zeigen hast.
You know, wanting to expand their publishing, and I think that, you know, the name they chose, Prime Matter, sort of is, you know, it's sort of like the primordial soup of putting together stuff from nothing. So, you know, it kind of makes me think of, this is what we do when we make video games. You know, you start with Pixel 0, and then at the end of the day, you make a game. So I feel like that, you know, that kind of resonates with hopefully the type of experiences that we're going to be providing, you know, not just within Prime Matter and working with them between Saber and our partnership, but, you know, across the Embracer group as well.
Yeah, no, it sounds like they have a lot of games in development, but the fact that you are bringing back Painkiller is really exciting. And I know, you know, fans, of course, want to know a little bit about, you know, what's the game going to look, how's it going to play. Probably can't share a lot of details about it, but you're kind of in the early stages of development now on this.
Yeah, super early, and you know, if anything that I would share, I'd probably get assassinated for back home once I got back to the developer, because, you know, all these, you know, the first stuff that comes out almost always gets sort of iterated on and changed, and so we're trying to keep the lid on the details until we have something that's going to be really awesome to show.
All right, well, we will be waiting for it, and we know with you involved, it's going to be something very special.
Mach schon mal wieder bereit.
No doubt. So, new Painkiller
coming up the
coming soon from the team at Saber, published by Prime Matter. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Jeff.
I really can't wait to hear more about Painkiller and the fact that Todd and Tim and the team at Saber are working on it. I think we're going to get something pretty special when they are ready to share more. So, you know, exciting stuff in that sizzle reel, Painkiller, Payday, but I know there's a lot more we're here to talk about today as well, right, Opal?
Actually, Prime Matter has 12 games under development right at this minute. We're so excited to show you guys what us and the developers have been up to. However, before you see some of the content that we show you today, I do have to make it clear that some of this is pre-alpha, alpha, high-level concept, and some of it is about to release right around the corner. So please keep that in mind when you're viewing today's show. That being said, how do you guys feel about a psychedelic third-person survival horror game set on what it means to go on a journey about self-enlightenment and what happens when it all goes wrong? I got to speak with the developers of The Chant, work in progress title, about their game and who they are.
Our game is about a group of people who go to
Habt ihr das auch gerade
spiritual
gesehen?
retreat to seek
Was ich
enlightenment,
gesehen habe.
and they
Irgendwas
basically
hat
get
bei
a
ihr
little more than they
gewackelt.
bargained for.
War es
And your
die
character
Wand
has to
dahinter
deal with
oder
her own
war es
personal
gegebenenfalls
issues
da,
as
wo
well
die
as
Kamera
the
steht?
cosmic terrors
Dass sie
that
nämlich
become
so
awakened.
einfach eine
Cool.
Hochziehwand hat.
So, what type of genre is this game?
I mean, it's a bit hard to pin down with the with all the different
Ich glaube, wir müssen
influences
nachher
and
nochmal
styles
darauf
of
bei ihr
gameplay, but
achten.
I'd say we're probably a
Ein
survival
Einbrecher.
action horror game.
Okay. Cool. And what was the thinking behind that genre? Is it something that you guys like, or is it just it came left field? What's your decision behind that?
Personally, we always wanted to make a horror game. A big part of our core team have a
Ja.
background in
Ich bin ja mal
third-person
gespannt, wie
sandbox games.
nächstes Jahr
And,
E3 ist,
we
weil
really
E3
wanted to combine,
wieder
you know,
sein
action
könnte und Co.
mechanics, deep
Wenn die nicht mehr alle aus
storytelling,
ihren
and we felt
Homeoffice
that,
streamen
the horror
müssen.
genre was a really exciting space to take that background and play around with.
So, kind of sticking with the horror genre, why did you decide to go with that theme? It's not really like normally what you would see, this whole spiritual awakening thing. So, what was the idea behind that?
We thought it was just kind of an interesting territory to explore. There is, there's a lot of influence from that with like folk horror of the 70s and giallo horror and so forth that really inspired us more from a film standpoint. And, taking that kind of aesthetic, something that was very sensational, very colorful, and mixing it in
Wisst ihr was? Ich mache dann leise, wenn ich merke, es ist laut.
kind of more action-oriented and exploratory
Geht's nicht mehr in diese, okay, ich muss
was
wahrscheinlich nicht leiser
was a
machen.
fresh take on
Lass
the
es einfach
horror
laut
space.
sein. Dann merkt ihr mal, wie
So,
scheiße es
kind of
abgemixt
speaking about
ist.
your inspirations and stuff.
Ich habe die ersten
what video games, real
paar
life
Minuten
media has
gesehen. Ich
inspired you
wie
to
ab dem
create
Punkt
this
bin ich
title?
irgendwann eingepennt.
Well,
Und bin irgendwann
going
aufgemacht,
way
als
back,
es wieder laut
when,
war.
Resident
Mit dem
Evil,
Trailer. Also
Resident Evil 2 is one of my
sehr
favorite
schlecht
games of all
abgemischt.
time.
Die Trailers extrem laut.
Alone in the Dark, Eternal Darkness. So a lot of games are very inspirational to us. Our game actually started off as a game with fixed camera angles and so forth, and then we over the course of development, just especially really focusing on
Ihr müsst es euch so vorstellen, als es kam, ich saß da, so total kaputt von der Arbeit.
So kind of
So,
talking about changes and what you
huh?
guys are doing on the development side, how close is the game
Und
to like the
irgendwann
original concept? I
kommt dann
understand
so
you guys are still
extrem laute Musik und du
developing. The game's quite far out,
machst dann
but
auf und
from
denkst,
your
was ist denn
original
jetzt
concept
los?
to where the game is now, how much has that differed?
The core story and I'd say the aesthetic and
Deswegen
the themes,
gucken wir
those
es
are all
Recap
those
an.
all remain intact. I'd say our gameplay, as our team size grew, we added deeper mechanics. I'd say more action to the game. Our game actually has a fair amount of combat in it, especially on the melee side. Those were things that weren't too prevalent in our original concept, and a lot of those things are just kind of based on, we're a very small team at first. We're still a relatively small team, but every new person that joins, brings something new to the mix. So I'd say on that end, the game has evolved in scope and depth of gameplay.
Awesome. Kind of sticking on that point of, you got a small team, there's a lot of challenges that comes with that. What was the hardest part of making the game so far?
The hardest part was probably trying to make a game that has more realistic production values, because that's where our background comes from, on a smaller scale and budget. So for us, we had to be very strategic, utilizing Unreal. We wouldn't have been able to build this game without utilizing an engine like Unreal. Previously, we had worked on more proprietary technology. And that's also great because, new people that join
Ist
the
nicht jede
team
Engine
can get up and running
proprietary
on the
außer
engine quite
die
quickly.
Godot Engine?
In addition to that, we've been using photogrammetry from the start. for both our environments. All of our characters are also scanned actors, and we're using, also
man
tapping
muss
into
ja
a
auch
lot of what's going
Unreal
on in
Geld
our
dafür
city.
zahlen.
Vancouver
Dafür
has a pretty big film industry, so
kann
really
jedem,
tapping into the film and the
dass
effects
sie ihre Engine
industry
benutzt.
and tapping into that area of expertise to just kind of try to do things as
Da war aber
efficiently as
ein doofer
possible.
Cut.
So you've mentioned like experience in the past and also kind of how rich Vancouver is. How much does that come in handy when you're working on the game?
Oh, it's been extremely beneficial. Vancouver, is home to a lot of AAA studios. A large portion of us work together at Rockstar and United Front Games, and we also have people who have worked at the Coalition and EA, as well as some smaller independent studios as well. And in addition to that, having the film industry here, where we can utilize local talent. We're working with
Man könnte
union
auch sagen,
actors.
Unity ist
We're
proprietary.
scanning actors as well that we're using for our characters, and we're actually
Mal was
currently
davon auch vorhaben.
auditioning a couple remaining characters for the game, and as well as doing the finishing touches on new motion capture studio. So we're going to
Ich
be
fang gleich wieder an, dahin zu
doing a
schlafen.
full cinematics push over the coming months. That's a really exciting place to be right now.
Awesome. Sounds great. In terms of exciting things, when it comes to this game, what are you most proud of at the minute?
Was ich also am Zocken bin, also heute habe ich zum Beispiel Formel 1 gezockt. Letztens hatte ich auf YouTube Days Gone gestreamt, weil Twitch kaputt war. Dann habe ich Loco Roco gestreamt auf Twitch.
We come from different backgrounds, but everyone's managed to come together and really deliver an amazing amount of work for the team size we have.
Ich spiele vieles.
It's really exciting to be working.
Ich warte eigentlich nur mal auf ein größeres 7 Days Update.
Just having that kind of energy where you're working with everyone on the team day to day.
Yeah, I imagine that is a lot different to probably what some of you are used to coming from those massive
Und wenn ich mal Zeit habe, mache ich mal was Cyberpunk
finally,
oder so.
What are the benefits of signing up with a global publisher like Kotsch and also, being featured on their brand
Ja,
new
Game Pass
label?
habe ich mir auch mal geholt.
It's truly an exciting place to be. We've been kind of pushing our game as far as we could, and this partnership is really helping to provide more reach and more resources, but I think most importantly also just having a partnership on getting feedback and helping to really expand and push the vision of the game. We've already received a lot of feedback on the title, and being a small team, we're often in our own little echo chamber, and even in a short period of time, we've been able to act on a lot of the feedback, and the game has improved considerably since then.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome to talk to you and find out a little bit more about what you
Kingdom
guys are
Come
going to be offering
Deliverance.
for the new label. And I can't wait to let gamers finally
Gibt's
get
es
their
nicht
hands
schon?
on the content. So thank you for your time.
From psychedelic horrors to internet rumors, our next developer created the huge open world of Bohemia and took us on an adventure through the Holy Roman Empire. However, there have been some leaks that this action RPG may have a home on the Switch. Opal sat down with Warhorse Studios to try and get to the bottom of this.
Kingdom Come Deliverance on the Switch. That is quite some news.
Yes, that's true.
Da
Kingdom Come
wackelt es
Deliverance
schon
is
wieder so ein
coming to the
bisschen.
Nintendo Switch. And as you said, it's about gamers,
Tob.
devs, and games. In our case, or in this case, actually gamers play an integral part
Ach
in the
ja.
story.
What do you mean?
Well, some kind of confusion happened in the end of last year. We Warhorse Studios were preparing the release of the Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition on PlayStation and Xbox, but someone most likely ticked the wrong box in Japan, and it looked like it's going to be released on Switch as well. Of course, by that time there was nothing existing like that. We were not even thinking about the possibility that Kingdom Come Deliverance could go on the Switch. However, Nintendo Japan took this information, some Japanese media, and then the snowball started rolling. All of a sudden, it was the talk of the day. Kingdom Come Deliverance is releasing on the Switch. But as I said, nothing like that was planned at all, and we didn't even think about that. Now, a few months back, and we think it's it was still somehow cursing around in the Nintendo database. Nintendo
Also
of
ganz
Spain
ehrlich, ich
posted
habe
a
davon noch
picture
nichts
on,
gehört.
Twitter, where they had different pictures of open world games, and they were promoting already existing open world games on the Nintendo Store. And if you clicked on the picture, actually you couldn't, there was nothing like Kingdom Come Deliverance, of course not, because as I said, nothing like that is existing. However, again, it created confusion. People were talking about it again, like, okay, so is it coming, is it not coming? But for us, actually, and as I said, we didn't think about that until that time. For us, we started to think there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of buzz, people are actually talking about us, reaching out to us, like they seem to want Kingdom Come Deliverance on the Nintendo Switch. So we started to think, and since we are already in the Koch Media
Guck, kann es richtig aussprechen. Koch Media,
there's a lot
nicht
of talented
Kotsch
studios,
Media.
so is Saber Interactive, and who but them would be actually capable of bringing the Kingdom Come Deliverance version on the Switch. So we sat together, and now we
Muss
are
mich mal
here
nicht
talking
triggern.
about the Nintendo Switch version on Kingdom Come.
So what you're saying is that a community of gamers made this happen?
More or less, yes. The community feedback we got, of course, was a big drive for this entire project. But this comes from our general background. So think of the Kickstarter project we had in the day. So without the community, there wouldn't be any Warhorse Studios or any Kingdom Come Deliverance. So we always try to be very close to them and working together with them, and even coming up with crazy ideas together with them. So for instance, the Savior Schnapps, our own liquor we created later, was actually a community idea. We have our own beer brand. We recently released a blue brick set, like a building set for Kingdom Come Deliverance buildings. And now one of the latest projects is the Kingdom Come Deliverance soap bar, which should give you the real medieval smell. In that case, I must say, medieval smells actually pretty well. And
Medieval Smell. Also kurz gesagt, 2 Wochen nicht duschen.
Our next new merchandise project is a Farkle boxed board game, kind of. So Farkle, for those who don't know, that's like a Kingdom Come Deliverance mini game, a dice mini game you can play in the game. And now with Griffon Studios, we are coming up with a boxed version you can get and play Farkle at home against your friends or against your family or whatever. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. But generally, if you're interested in these kind of stuff, just check the Warhorse Studios social media accounts. You get all the information you need there.
Ooh, my favorite.
Aber
Soapy
Multiplayer,
hot news.
muss ich sagen,
Speaking of soapy hot news, how do you feel
das kommt immer
about
drauf an.
Warhorse being
Formel
under
1
the new label Prime Matter?
It's a huge honor, of
oder
course.
Fall Guys würde ich
We
mal
were
mit mir
working
spielen.
together with Koch for over 4 years already. In
Ich
2019, we
hab
then
das Call of Duty
became
Warzone,
part of the entire Embracer family. So
7
that was a
Days
big
ist ja
thing, and
Multiplayer.
now being able to take part at the beginning of something new, be there when there's a new label being created, that is a big thing for us. And especially if you consider that we come there as an established partner already, that
Wenn
is
man
really
über
cool, and we are
Multiplayer
looking
reden
forward
will,
to
ist es immer am
a
besten.
bright future.
Thank you very much, Toby. We cannot see what
Da,
Warhorse has got cooking. However, until that time, Toby, goodbye.
So are we. Thank you very much and see you.
Lustiger wäre es jetzt, wenn die
From
hier so ein bisschen
internet
Sims-mäßig
rumors
hier
back to reality,
so
we
gesagt
will
hätten.
have more on
Süße.
Kingdom Come Deliverance for Switch as we get it.
All right, let's move from RPGs to FPS games. Final Form, which is a working title, is an action-packed sci-fi adventure where you play the role of a humanoid avatar of a sentient spaceship sent on a mission to the edge of the known universe to battle an unstoppable player. The game is still a long ways from completion, but here's a very quick peek at what's in store.
Ich glaube, ich mache mal kurz leiser. Könnte laut werden. Also ich glaube, das leiser machen hat sich gelohnt. Weil der ist gerade lautstärkemäßig auf dem Level, zumindest laut OBS, wie das Gelaber auf voller Lautstärke. Zwar jetzt nicht viel, aber ich wollte schon gerade wieder lauter machen.
Hi, we are Raycon Games, and what you have just seen is the first glimpse of our upcoming game called the Final Form.
Final Form is an action-packed, epic sci-fi FPS in which you are a female-formed humanoid machine on a space mission with no return.
At the heart of the game is a mystery and alien worlds to explore, but also an adrenaline-fueled combat. In Final Form, it's all about the freedom and power of movement, being a machine unrestrained by human weaknesses.
Freedom. Kommt jetzt zu David Hasselhoff und singt I've been looking for freedom. I've been looking so long. Ich glaube, man merkt so ein bisschen, ich nehme die Shows jetzt nicht so
Raycon
ganz
is
ernst.
located in Warsaw, Poland, with additional team members located all over the world. The studio was founded and is managed entirely by game developers. Since the success of Ruiner, we've grown quite substantially. Currently, Raycon is over 50 brilliant game creators, and counting. We are not a huge team, but what we love to do is to evolve together with our projects, constantly finding smarter and better ways to achieve something truly unique. We build our work environment just like we make games, aiming for the best results and personal fulfillment. We strongly believe that the well-being of team members needs to be taken care of first, before we can pour all of that love into a game. The partnership with Koch Media has been very fruitful and inspiring. We're happy to be in the avant-garde of the upcoming new label. We're looking forward to share more on Final Form in the future.
Ich versuche jetzt
And in
nicht
the
dadurch
meantime,
getriggert zu
please enjoy
werden.
the rest of the show and see you around.
Dolmen, coming up next.
I have to say, guys, I love the soundtrack from Final Form. Moving on to our next game, which is just as special. What if you took
Es wackelt.
and Gagaris themes
Die,
and
weil ich
mixed
glaube,
it
die
all
stößt
together
mit dem Stuhl
with
hinter die
hardcore
Wand.
RPG elements? That's exactly what Massive Works Studios are doing. I got to sit down with their CTO to talk about their game, Dolmen.
Okay, leiser machen. Ich glaube, da bin ich aufgewacht. Als es lief. Ja. Alle Lautstärke. Es ist geschrammt so zwischen grün und gelb. World Premiere. So, jetzt stell dir mal vor, du pennst so oder auf einmal hörst du das so richtig laut. Bäh. Dolmen.
Let's speak now to Gabriel Ferreira, CTO of Massive Works Studios, who joins us now from Campinas near Sao Paulo in the southeast of Brazil. So, Gabriel, what is Dolmen about?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here and to participate. Well, so let me tell a little bit about what Dolmen is. Dolmen is that kind of a game where the hero needs to save everyone from an alien threat.
Mag jemand den QR-Code scannen? Ich bin jetzt zu faul, um aufzustehen und mein Handy zu holen.
Kind of game that Dolmen is not about. In this game, you actually save the drillers, which is the alien species that live on that planet, but you're going there to help a company save its investment. So you're not really the nice guy that's trying to save everyone. It's just a job. But we hope that the players consider the humanity, the greed, the war, and the spares and the challenges that come to mind along with that job. Taking all that part, And yes, Domain is also about fighting all kinds of monsters and struggling. After all, it is a hard game. It's a hardcore game. It's inspired on Souls-like, so yes, you're going to die a lot.
Awesome. Thank you. So when thinking about the name Dolmen, obviously you guys went for that for like a very specific reason. What's the thinking behind the name? Why did you go for Dolmen?
So there was many things that came to our mind when describing the name of the game. Dolmen, which means a single chamber tomb, a megalithic tomb. We thought it would be a good word to describe this stone, this crystal that we have that is related to that. In many ways, everyone that deals with this crystal in the game is close to bringing problems to everyone that is around. And we wanted this to be the main piece of the game.
Cool. Awesome. And now I know that people may or may not have heard of Dolmen before, so it is already out there in the world. But how long has it taken to get to this point?
Oh, it's been a long journey since the beginning of the project. We started at late 2016, so it's been almost 5 years now.
Ich fange schon wieder an einzuschlafen.
Just a bit more till it come out. But we and about our journey, if it wasn't the support that we had since the beginning, either our community, the Kickstarters, and you guys, I believe we would not be here right now.
Lovely. How have you been inspired by other games? You mentioned like the Souls-like obviously inspires it. You know, are there other games that inspire you? And also, what games do the teams like?
First of all, regarding inspirations, a lot of games came to us when we were producing the game and when we were first thinking of it. Obviously, we are really passionate and we really love Souls-like games. So Bloodborne, Dark Souls, those games were our main inspirations. But we drew inspirations from all different kind of sources. So we had inspirations in Dead Space, in Mass Effect, and also not only inspirations in
Bei Dead Space eine Pose, aber ich das nicht verneinen.
Movies and
Dead Space sieht man da schon recht raus.
For example,
Aber
Alien and
sonst,
Geiger, and those were our main inspirations. About games that we most like and games that our team likes, it's really hard to say because we have a team that ranges from liking Dota to CS and Souls-like games. But what I can really tell you is that every one of our team is passionate about the project because they love doing what they do, which is a hardcore game.
Yeah, and that makes sense as well when you get hands on Dolmen, all these inspirations that have come in. So the game is set in a sci-fi universe. Is there any specific reason you decided to go down that route? Was there any other routes that you considered at first?
Yeah. Well, the humans are afraid of what they don't know. And the universe has infinite possibilities. There is always something unknown that we can explore in space. So that sci-fi setting really was something that we could use to throw everything that our insane minds could come with. So we wanted to use the sci-fi as a tool to reach this goal, to present the player a world of unknown that he can fear and he can enjoy it.
No, absolutely. And while we're kind of on the point of humans and Earth, you guys are based in Brazil, which is awesome. Are there any specific challenges that you face during development because of that, or just in general?
Yeah, there were a lot of challenges that we faced along this 5-year journey. We obviously had to adapt our workflow
das macht irgendwie keinen Spaß.
In the late years. So 2020 and 2021 was a really challenge for us. but it was something that we could adapt well, especially because even that we're based in Brazil, we're not
Das ist noch
only
eine
based in a
Stunde,
single
Leute.
location in Brazil. We have people spread across the
Oh,
country.
gute Nacht, Chirp.
So it was
Glaub
easy enough to
auch, dass ich wahrscheinlich sogar
overcome that
bald
challenge.
Abbruch mache.
But
Also,
there were several challenges since
ob ich
getting
Abbruch
the
mache oder
Batman
nicht,
kits
das
and finding people that are really capable of helping us to deliver this amazing game, and that's what we gathered, and that's something that our company appreciates the most and really gives value is the people that we work with. They were really incredible people, and they were really rare over here.
Absolutely, that's really cool. Kind of on that theme of development and challenges, given how development and technology often dictates how a game evolves throughout its development, how kind of close are you to the original concept that you guys came up for Dolmen?
Well, there are different point of views on that answer, especially because we started really small. And in the journey of the game, for example, it started as a concept from a few friends that get together and they brainstormed it for months, the game. Subverted in two senses. And one of them, when we
sollen wir mal ein
first
bisschen
started the game,
schneller machen? Das können wir ja immerhin.
It's huge and is insane.
So
It
nach
has
dem Motto,
a
komm,
lot of background on it. It has all this universe around it. So a lot of it has been built. So people that loves lore and loves the universe that we are creating, they will
wir
have
machen
a
mal
lot of shit on
1,1.
that side. But the game and from its original concept evolved a lot, especially now that we have more tools at our disposal. So on the tech side, it advanced way better than we imagined. Back 2016, we didn't have all the resources that we have now. So of course, we made some sacrifices here and there and in order to achieve our goal, but we're never happy with satisfied.
Die labern zu viel, ja.
We want to reach more. At
Ich
the end of
merke
the day,
es.
this is also a game and we are having fun, but on top of all, we want to make a brilliant
Das ist
game
schlimm.
for the player.
Absolutely. And speaking about like making the game and the development of the game, seeing as you are lead programmer as well, what was the hardest part of making the actual game?
I believe that we could have gone into different options, especially, for example, we could have wanted to make it a game that was simpler or smaller or not have that many hours of gameplay. But we decided to go to a hardcore game, even that's a first game of our company. So we decided to go full in into that challenge.
Deswegen habe ich ja auch jetzt, weil es ist so viel Labern, auf 1.1 gemacht. Ich glaube, 1.1 ist immer noch ist das beste Tempo für. Es ist noch sehr originalgetreu, aber es ist schneller.
Keeping yourself focused for 5 years on a single game is something that is challenging for everyone, especially right now. So it was a difficult decision, but we wanted to make that. Regarding programming and as a programmer, there's a lot of that I could keep talking and talking about. What is the harder? Multiplayer is always challenging, but finding that balancing fit, so the game that is not unfair, but is hard. So we wanted to aim hardcore players. So this was really something that was hard.
So you mentioned like 5 years of development, which is a crazy long time. How have you kept yourself motivated? How have the team kept themselves motivated?
I won't say that it was easy, because it wasn't. But I would say that most of all, we were always
1.25, jetzt geht's richtig ab.
In order to play the game, even now that we are remote, we keep getting up every day and making a meeting and showcasing what we are doing and working alongside each one of us. Also, a lot of
Vielleicht
things that
motiviert mich
happened
das dann
during
eher.
before
1,25.
COVID was the events. The events always made us super happy. So showcasing the game to everyone and getting the players to play the game and see how they react, it was something incredible for us. It really made us feel proud of what we were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everyone's missing that event feeling, right? When you actually get to see people on the games and you're like, oh wow, everyone's loving our games. I think it's something that everyone is missing, definitely. Speaking of kind of motivation,
Mich würde mal interessieren, was machen die, wenn die jetzt dann nicht solche Happy Guys sich einkaufen, die dann bei jedem Scheiß machen. So, warte mal, hier, da ist Soviel.
We had a lot of story, some crazy cinematics. So we're really proud of the universe that we created.
Jetzt stellt euch mal vor, die hauen jetzt hier irgendwie, was für die denken, das ist der Kracher raus. Und die Reaktion vom Publikum ist dann eher mehr so.
Getting to expand that universe and getting to get closer to our original.
Du bist Gott sei Dank schon eingeschlafen. Ey, ich bin auch eingeschlafen. Also ich bin ja schon voreingeschlafen und bin durch die lauten Trailer-Musik wieder lautmach geworden. Und mich triggert jedes Mal, wenn die Kotsch sagen.
It's really an amazing feeling for us. Kotsch really helped us and takes
Denke ich
care
mir immer nur
of
so.
Of the operation that we couldn't make it for ourselves. They have an amazing team of QA localization, so we can reach different countries and players everywhere. We have a great producer that worked with us, helping us reach our goals and really deliver the game that we want. And without Kotsch opened the doors for us on that sense. And being part of this new label is a great opportunity for us, and also to know other game developers and expand the game community. And yeah, and to meet you as well.
Ist das die alte Xbox One?
Absolutely, we are.
Sieht
so
nämlich nicht nach einer Xbox One X aus und auch nicht nach einer Xbox One S.
So excited to actually let people play this game at some point under this new label. So thank you so much for your time, Gabriel. It's been awesome talking to you. And yeah, let's release Dolmen at some point under the new label. Thank you for your time and see you later.
Thank you. See you.
Now, the first title from Prime Matter will be the beautiful, highly anticipated King's Bounty 2. We have a first look at the gameplay trailer, and then Opal got a chance to sit down and talk with CEO Nikolai Baryshnikov.
The balance is off.
So, guten Morgen. Ich glaube, jetzt werden die im ersten wach.
Our land, Nostria, dances on the knife's edge of fate. King Claudius, my father, cannot lead, and his absence has set the realm in motion. Something is coming. Now the burden of the crown falls onto me.
Bei Musik merkt man, dass ich dann ein bisschen fast forward mache.
But there is unrest.
It used to be beautiful here. My wife and I had a nice life then.
Conspiracy, sabotage, necromancy. They all threaten this land asunder. But we must unite, for distorted terrors are advancing. Rumors tell of a false prophet, putting our hope in something that does not exist. A seer foretells that our Savior is among us. People of Nostria,
Ist das jetzt das neue Among Us?
you laid faith in my father. Do so to me. We must look towards the horizon, fight back the darkness, and preserve the light of our land. For Nostria!
Sagt er Austria? Österreich?
Hello there, guys! Thanks for joining me, and I am joined by Nikolai Baryshnikov from 1C Entertainment, who is CEO and creator of King's Bounty 2. So King's Bounty has been years in development and has a 30-year pedigree. So what is it that makes King's Bounty 2 so special?
The original King's Bounty was the grandfather of games of series like Heroes of Might and Magic. So it created these turn-based gameplay when we have a hex-based battlefield and the troops are moving in turns, like chess pieces on the board. So I think that's the key the cornerstone of King's Bounty.
Absolutely, and kind of speaking about that, and I know as you mentioned, the first King's Bounties was 1990, and then you had the King's Bounty that you guys created in the 2000s. What technical improvements now that we're in 2021 are you most excited about implementing into the new King's Bounty 2?
Well, I'm a huge fan of the core aspect of the game with tactical battles, and if in the previous games the battlefield was always a flat surface. So now we're bringing the battlefield into 3D. So we'll have, line of sights, hills,
Darf ich mal was sagen zu diesen ganzen Pressekonferenzen, so als Feedback?
So moving the battlefield to 3D is a huge step forward. And then the whole role-playing part, the exploration part, we decided to move more towards games
Und zwar,
like Fable or Mass Effect. Epic,
der Vorteil, wenn die Leute das live machen, auf einer Bühne, die können da diesen Bildschirm nutzen, um da Gameplay zu zeigen. Und irgendwo unten in die Ecke können die quasi sich selbst von der Bühne hinhauen, wie sie quasi sich gegenseitig unterhalten. Also so hier, hier King's Bounty, was ist das? Und dann der andere so diskutiert, sagt so, hier, bla bla bla. Gleichzeitig sieht man vielleicht auch was davon. Hier, das ist irgendwie so, man sieht gar nichts. Ihr könnt ja auch den Greenscreen oder Spezialeffekte nutzen mit Nvidia RTX Studio oder was auch immer das ist. Könnt ihr quasi den Greenscreen machen, ohne den Greenscreen zu haben, und könnt ihr sich einfach als quasi Let's Player hier mal so ein bisschen das Gameplay zeigen. Wäre ganz lustig, wäre auch ganz nett, würde man zumindest ein bisschen was sehen. Würde einen motivieren, da zuzuhören und auch zuzuschauen. So ist es irgendwie sinnloses Hingeplätscher, was du wahrscheinlich in 5 Minuten wieder vergisst, weil es 15 Minuten geht. Und ich mache ja jetzt hier schon 1.25. Hier 1.25. Geschwindigkeit 1.25. Ich will da jetzt nicht unbedingt noch weiter vorgehen. Und was mich auch ein bisschen stört, ist, dass es halt keine Untertitel gibt. Das wäre zumindest etwas. Da könnte man sagen, ey, falls ich euch zu viel dazwischen laber, dann habt ihr wenigstens Untertitel und man kann vielleicht an Untertiteln noch was wissen. Ach, okay. Weißt du, wenn du da schon nicht mehr zuhörst? Was war das? War da gerade bei Windows und hat irgendwie was gemeckert? Ich war gerade irgendwie an was komplett anderes interessiert als an dem Gespräch.
We've been, astonished by, modern fantasy titles both in Hollywood and in games, and we thought that this is a good idea actually to upgrade King's Bounty to what we call like high fantasy or like realistic fantasy. So it's not a dark fantasy like Kingdom Come when they're like very peasants, everything is bad. No, it's more like, as I said, like high fantasy.
Sklaver nervt voll. Ja. Wir könnten ja mal gucken, wie schnell wir das Gelaber machen könnten.
So that was the main philosophy. Plus, game development evolves, and I don't think that it's a good idea to take a game of 2008 and just make a replica with slightly enhanced graphics in 2020.
Wir sind bei 1.4.5.
Especially for consoles, there's a specific expectation from somebody coming to the store or buying the game digitally. Like,
Du Gelaber ist halt langweilig.
It has to look graphically and gameplay-wise like this. There's an expectation, and we believe that that's what we have to do.
Yeah, so we've mentioned that this game combines different kind of play.
Gut, du bist bei 1.4.5 und es fühlt sich
third-person RPG elements to this unique fighting system, this kind of chess-like fighting system. Kind of, why did you choose, with the evolution of game design and how people play games, why did you choose to stick to these hybrid game mechanics? Do you think that this is kind of what makes King's Bounty?
Absolutely. I think you guys spot on, so I don't even need to answer. King's Bounty is
okay, das ist jetzt schon fast zu schnell.
So if you remove tactical combat from King's Bounty, then it becomes, I don't know, Mass Effect or Kingdom Come. So this is, so we can play around with evolution of this gameplay, make it more fun, more realistic. But obviously, this is the core. So this is a tactical game with a lot of role-playing aspects, high fantasy aspects, and not the other way around. So again,
komm, wir machen jetzt. Wir haben gemerkt, wir könnten theoretisch bis 1.6.5 gehen, weil 1.7 wird es eigentlich auch schon schwierig. Aber 1.7.5 ist schon fast zu schnell für das Gelaber. Aber wenn man da überhaupt noch was so stehen will, machst du 1.2.5. Ist ein bisschen schneller, ist aber ja.
Hard to say. Again, first of all, this is a multiple platform game, so there are specific technical issues that prolong the development. If you make just, let's say, a PC title or just a PlayStation game, then you are not having a headache of porting to different platforms, getting different specifications, TCRs, approvals.
Ich meine, die Aufnahme geht jetzt circa 50 Minuten und das Video ist eine Stunde. Gut, wir haben ja auch paar Minuten geskippt, weil es ja ein Countdown war. Und es waren, glaube ich, 5 oder 7 Minuten Countdown.
3D high fantasy and the production of assets. So we want to build like a huge map. We want to populate this map with characters that will just move around, go somewhere, have their own like stories. And we decided to instead of having like text dialogues, we decided to produce a lot of engine-based cutscenes to push the story, to explain what's going on. So we even had to buy our motion capture studio. We worked with like dozens of actors, and there are hours and hours and hours of in-game based cutscenes, which in the past could be just dialogues and pieces of text. That was another huge complication.
No, absolutely. And then the final question, what are the benefits of signing up with a global publisher like Koch and being on their brand new gaming label?
Oh, that provides us a lot of additional support because I'm not sure that all gamers understand how games get to the market. So making a game, writing pieces of code or drawing this amazing sketch of a dragon is only half of the puzzle. So it's like yin yang. You need a lot of support from production people, testing, localization, manufacturing retail units, putting all this units into the retail shops in the world, making mass market communications. So we decided to cooperate.
Ich weiß auch nicht, ob ich jetzt das wirklich noch durchziehen soll.
Partner. So we are on the market for many years, and I would say very honestly, I was personally a bit scared if we do it just ourselves, that we might not have the human resources to deliver the information about the game itself. We'll work with all the platform holders as effectively as in a co-production and co-publishing with such esteemed partners, Koch Media and Bracer Group. So I'm quite happy.
Awesome. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for your time, Nikolai.
And I cannot wait for people to
woanders hin.
Oh, me too. Trust me, me too. After 3 years of development, that's the most exciting days of 2021.
Die zeigen immer da oben rechts, was als nächstes kommt.
We keep saying it. And honestly, I shouldn't have a favorite. It's like picking between a favorite child. However, this next title speaks to me on a gaming level, unlike any other. This third-person action-adventure shooter will keep you up at night tossing and turning with its horrific, nightmarish creatures. Think Alice in Wonderland meets Alien, or as one US journalist put it, Tomb Standing. Guys, sit back, relax, grab a pillow, because you get a world-exclusive look at Scars Above.
Good job. Dr. Ward, Dr. Yoshida, get to the bridge, please. Time to see what's inside our alien.
Dieses World Premiere unten, das so total verzogen ist, das, ich finde es nicht so geil.
Telemetry check.
Telemetry check, here go.
Aber wisst ihr was?
Wow.
Da mache ich jetzt mal ein bisschen langsamer. Das scheint cool zu sein. Ich glaube wirklich, das sage ich jetzt, okay. Könnte vielleicht geil werden.
Log entry. The gate has an internal conduction system. The 3 points on the rim seem sensitive. A targeted blast of electricity should cause a reaction.
Jetzt, wo die Leute gehen, kommt da wahrscheinlich das gute Zeug.
It's from Hermes. It must have splintered off as it entered the atmosphere. Mira, it's still intact. Log entry. The creature has multiple salivary glands in its thoracic region that seem to produce a highly venomous secretion. Wow. The whole place is covered with some kind of organic residue. Looks like Robinson managed to connect the MPU to the pillar. This will help me get through that tissue webbing. And I'm taking the MPU. Who were the architects of this place? Did they build these towering monuments to serve a purpose, or as a testament to their might? Were they looking for answers, or solving a problem? Oh my god! This thing was huge.
That's what she said. Also das Spiel scheint Spaß zu machen. Das könnte ich mir vorstellen zu spielen. Jetzt. Was mich halt da wieder ein bisschen rausbringt, ist halt diese ständigen Cuts. You know? So. Du siehst so eine Minute vom Gameplay. Zack, nächste Szene.
The appendages are dripping with the fluid that's freezing the water. There's the brain, the neural pathways leading to various organs.
Weiß nicht. Ich sag ja auch, so vieles gefällt mir nicht. Dieses World Premiere da unten ist auch ein bisschen doof, weil es kommt da von der einen Seite so rein, so, hier walkt es, und auf der anderen Seite haben sie vergessen, dieses Walken wieder reinzumachen. Früher war es auch mal, glaube ich, andersrum. Da hat man, glaube ich, das in der Mitte doch, glaube ich, dicker gemacht. Und hier macht man das jetzt gerade irgendwie an der Seite dick, aber halt auf der anderen Seite vergessen es wieder reinzumachen. Ich würde ja sagen, wenn man nicht so viel am Stück zeigen kann. Ich glaube, jetzt kommen sie zum Ende. Und jetzt stellt einmal vor, eine Stunde hat dieses Video gedauert.
That really was something. And last week, Opal had a chance to talk to the developers, Mad Head Games, and ask them what their game was all about.
Hello there, guys. Joining me now from Novi Sad in Serbia is Ivan Zorkic, game director at Mad Head Games, who's going to tell us all about his new project. So, Ivan, what's Scars Above all about?
Hey there. Scars Above, well, an alien object appears near Earth, and a team of astronauts is sent to explore it, to do a close-range scan. However, for some reason that I don't want to go into now, this results in them in an event which causes them to be transported to an unknown alien planet. So our protagonist, Kate Ward, who is a mission specialist, she's an astrobiologist with a background in engineering. She's one of the members of the team of astronauts, of the team called SCAR team, which is Sentient Contact Assessment and Response. So she is on the ship doing the scan, and she ends up on this stranded on this alien planet. So one moment she's with her team in the ship, and the other moment she's on this strange planet alone. So she explores, she finds out that her team is also stranded on the planet. She has to find them first. And it seems that some time has passed. She doesn't understand why. Also, the planet is very hostile. So there's a bunch of dangerous
Kotsch
creatures,
Media, wenn ich bitten darf.
monsters, and everything seems to want
Die
to kill
reden hier
her
zu viel.
and the rest of her crew.
Mir auch.
So she needs
Die
to,
reden uns allen zu
find
viel.
out what's going on, solve this mystery.
Und deswegen habe ich auch auf 1.25 gemacht. Ich war vorher sogar mal ganz kurz auf 1.65.
But it's all about, being stranded on this kind of scary,
Weil ich
but
bin,
also
habe ich ja
in a
gesagt,
way
ich bin
strangely
gestern,
beautiful world,
oder als
and
Koch
facing
Media
a lot of
kam, das
nasty,
Stream,
nasty
bin ich
creatures,
eingepennt.
monsters.
Yeah. So it's like kind of keeping on that theme of the realm of possibility and whatnot.
Das
How
von
much
E3
in the game has its roots in the real world, and how much is just
Ich meine,
plain
das
crazy
Game,
sci-fi?
was sie jetzt da gerade
mostly
vorstellt,
sci-fi,
ich
but
habe
the
schon wieder den
themes
Namen
come from the real
vergessen.
world. So they're inspired by the real world.
Aber das da, was sie halt gerade gezeigt haben, war so ähnlich ist wie Dead Space. Das ist schon ziemlich geil. Das würde mich interessieren. Das von Ubisoft, ja, das hat man auch geguckt. Das war ja so, das ist eigentlich aktuell gar nichts dabei, außer das da. Und da habe ich schon wieder den Namen vergessen. Vielen lieben Dank, ihr redet mir zu viel.
Which lead to more bad things and more
Ja, das
fear
habe ich
and
auch
more
gesehen.
bad things. And in a way, Scars Above
Das
is
Avatar.
like, for me, a metaphor for reason standing up against terror. Science against darkness, knowledge against ignorance.
Aber was mich da auch triggert bei dem ist, der Bart, da vorne diese extrem kahle Stelle und drumherum Stoppeln. Das ist das Problem. Dadurch, dass diese Personen so im Vordergrund sind, triggert dich sowas eher als das, was sie da reden. Du schältst nach ein paar Minuten ab und konzentrierst dich auf andere Sachen. Wie ich zum Beispiel gesagt habe, bei der einen Frau, die da vor der Wand sitzt, jedes Mal, wenn sie anscheinend irgendwie mit dem Stuhl sich bewegt, wackelt da die Wand.
This strange, far away from home
das Gerede triggert
world, surrounded with monsters and terrors. Like, if you make this believable, people might actually think more about
noch schneller
it. So we don't want to go like super realistic, but we do want to make it believable so that, because immersion is really important, so that people get immersed in this world and start thinking, like, what would I do if I was in this situation, and what if this was really, like, what if this happened someday? What if an alien object does appear near Earth someday, and what would happen?
Absolutely. And then you mentioned the lead protagonist, Kate Ward. You told about her job title. What else about her? Like, who is she? Why is she?
Kate is awesome. We love her. So Kate is a very strong and very capable, but also a very caring person. So she's an astronaut. She's a scientist, a team member, a colleague, an explorer, and she always has like this childlike scientific curiosity.
Das ist toll, wenn es nicht live ist. Wenn du das on demand anschaust, also als Video, kannst du da vorspulen. Also Pro-Tipp an alle Reaction-Streamer da draußen, die hier E3 und Co. reacten, falls ihr merkt, okay, das ist mir zu langweilig, schaut es euch nicht live an, wartet einfach, bis die Show vorbei ist. Schaut euch das VOD an, wenn ihr merkt, es ist zu langweilig, spult ihr einfach vorwärts.
The fact that she's overcoming this, like fighting her emotions, fighting all the stress, that makes her courageous, and that's great. So she gets frightened, she fights her emotions. She's susceptible to panic, which I think kind of makes her relatable. Like, she's not like I'm all out of gum, I'm kicking ass and chewing bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum. Like that's not her. She is like her heart pounds, her voice breaks, she trembles. But then, and that's what I really like when her voice breaks, when she's like really scared, but she like clenches her fist, and the adrenaline kicks in, and she pushes through, no matter the obstacle, and she does it using her mind, and using science and using her cunning to craft these weapons and gadgets and survive against the odds.
Awesome. So you mentioned that
So, ich glaube, das ist geschwindigkeitsmäßig
sent up. Who else is in
okay.
the team? Who else are we going to be meeting on this adventure?
So she's a part of a 4-person team. There is the commander of the mission, Commander Robinson, Richard Robinson, and he's like a person with a military background, like a pilot and an officer, and like he is the commander after all. But the rest of the team are mission specialists, because and this is also kind of like the idea that it's this alien object appears, we send scientists and explorers trying to figure out what's going on. So Kate is joined by her close friend Tamara, who is and also
sein Zimmer, das ist auch ziemlich leer, da fehlen irgendwie Bilder.
Member of the team, but who's also like a communications expert and like
Mein Grau auf Weiß ist schöner Kontrast.
But Kate does get separated from them, and
Kann
part of the
man
game is actually
machen.
uncovering the fate of her other team members, and I don't want to spoil anything, but
Der Vogel
Kate
da auf
obviously
der
cares a lot
Fensterbank
about
ist auch
her teammates and
interessant.
her friends.
Ist da ein Wäscheständer am Fenster? Ich weiß es nicht.
I'm
Was hast du dir Schönes bestellt?
A corny but very true answer. I'm most proud of the team. So like making a game is a huge effort, and it requires a lot of hard work, focus, energy, dedication, but also like cooperation, communication, support. So it's just like looking at a group of people working together on a common goal. That's really inspiring, and I think that's truly the case with any development team. Like when you ask them like what you're most proud of, and I keep thinking like one day in the far future, I may actually forget some of the details during the development, but I will always remember the people I worked with.
That's awesome. And then last question, what are the benefits of signing up with a global publisher like Koch and being on their brand new publishing label?
There's a bunch of benefits, but like, having access to certain resources, to experience. This is a game, with many firsts for us. So having someone to just like, share thoughts and share the experience is really valuable. But, on a personal level, I have to say this, and I'm being perfectly honest, like the biggest benefit for me was meeting a bunch of great people on your side. And I truly mean this. Like, it's a continuing pleasure to work with you, not just talking about the game or how we can make it better, but just like we talk a lot, as you know, like we chat about various things. Just meeting you guys, like it's a tremendous boost to what we're doing. And I don't want to downplay like the obvious benefits, because there's
Wir können
a
mal
lot
kurz
of
was
them,
machen.
the infrastructure, the resources, but
Und zwar,
for me personally, it's just like meeting and getting to hang out with you guys. That's really awesome.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to hang out with you as well, Ivan. And thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait to let people play.
für alle Reactor da draußen, ihr habt jetzt zum Beispiel ein 120 Minuten langes Video oder ein 120 Minuten Stream und ihr schaut das Video so wie ich, so im 125, 1.25-facher Geschwindigkeit. Das heißt, aus 120 Minuten werden 96 Minuten. Das heißt, ihr seid in etwa ja, 24 Minuten schneller fertig und könnt viel mehr reacten. Ist das nicht schön? Es wäre doch mal lustig, so ein React auf einen React auf einen React. Das eine ist in 125, der React wird dann wieder auf 125, das wird wieder auf 1.25 reacted. Das wäre doch irgendwann lustig. Und irgendwann hat man eine React auf eine React auf eine React auf eine React. Und das auf das reacted wird, ist dann in 5-facher Geschwindigkeit. Man muss quasi den Sinn dahinter in 1.25-facher Geschwindigkeit mitbekommen.
Are you a doctor, scientist, mathematician, or any other type of brainiac? We've got you covered in the White Wing. Do you like taking credit for the hard work of others, but never do anything yourself? Those forms won't fill themselves. That's management, mister, and the Silver Wing awaits. Are you a criminal, prisoner, or have no discernible skills whatsoever? Then you're coming to the Orange Wing.
Wie heißt aber das Spiel, das auch schon gibt?
Are you ready to make the change with us?
Das so
Are you
ähnlich
ready
ist
to
wie
love it
das.
so much that you'll never want to leave? Then join Cronus and take the second giant leap for mankind under the dome.
That's not all. Opal got to sit down with the creative brains behind Encased. Check it out.
Let's go to St. Petersburg in Russia and speak to Vyacheslav Kosahin, creative director of Dark Crystal Games and the brains behind their upcoming isometric RPG Encased. So, Slava, what is Encased?
So Encased is an old-school RPG in the sci-fi post-apocalyptic setting, basically.
So the name Encased is kind of, it's a word and it has various meanings. What's the thinking behind the name?
Wir sind gerade bei 1,4.
Behind the name
Gut,
comes
rechnen
from
wir mal
the,
kurz
actually
nach.
the setting of the game from one main entity of it, which is the dome. The game takes place in the anomalous zone called the dome, which was found somewhere in the last
Wir haben noch circa 40 Minuten.
On our planet. And well,
basically, wir machen jetzt 35 Minuten.
There, various scientists,
durch
technicians, soldiers and
1,4.
adventurers.
Das heißt, in 25 Minuten sind wir fertig, wenn wir diese Geschwindigkeit beibehalten.
Guys who explore the dome, they are encased in there, which I think makes some sense in this regard.
Absolutely. Yes. So I know that you guys have been developing this game for kind of a long time now.
Geil.
How long has it actually taken to get to the point where you are now?
So we are developing the game for 3.5 years now. We started late in 2017 with some pre-production, but obviously we have thoughts about a project like this for years and years before that, before those crystallized in something, something that really exists. So it takes 10 years of thinking behind this game, this project, and 3.5 years of actual production time to this point.
So considering how long it takes, how do you guys keep yourself so motivated just on one particular title?
Well, we can't say we have any problems with motivation on our own, because for most, if not everyone on the team, this is the dream project that comes to life. So that's fine in this regard. The motivation is always high, but also we are.
Ja, das habe ich auch gesagt. Nicht so viel Gerede mehr. Eigentlich, man kann das Gerede mit Spiel zusammenmischen, dann hat man so ein Gefühl, über was sie reden. So ist es halt einfach nur ein Gerede.
This constant feedback on the project, both positive and sometimes negative, which obviously keeps us motivated. If we would be on our own for those like 3.5 years and some extra time we
spend den Mix aus Gameplay und Gelaber nicht gefunden. Sprich, sie zeigen manchmal zu viel Gameplay, Gefühl, wo du dann dir zu wenig vorstellen kannst. Dann kommt wieder zu viel Gelaber, wo du dir dann so das Gefühl hast, okay, wie genau muss ich mir das vorstellen? Und bla 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 bla.
Very old school CRPG type game, which is inspired by many golden classics of late 90s and early 2000s.
Ich hätte ja gerne mal den Moment, wo ihr sagen könnt, so, jetzt zweifache Geschwindigkeit.
The process, which is really great. Most of the mechanics, abilities, perks and all those.
Es ist traurig, wie gut jetzt sogar zweifache Geschwindigkeit noch passt.
We managed to put it in there too, but obviously because technology changed and even time passes, some less important things, I'd say, like maybe graphics or maybe art style beats or maybe some topics and themes, we explore those, transformed and changed during the process, because making games and RPGs particularly, it's an iterative process and takes many iterations to figure out what is the heart, what is the idea you want to bring to the players. So those transformed and crystallized during this long development. But the original concept, the very heart of it, it's all in there, which is really great.
Yeah, so speaking about the concept, what's the actual narrative of Encased?
The story of Encased is a story about exploring this anomalous zone, the dome. The player starts as an employee of this Cronus organization, which is the only organization that controls entire dome research and studying. There are 5 departments which are called wings. A player can start in, which affects the game a lot.
Ohne Scheiß, wenn du zweifache Geschwindigkeit anschauen kannst und es fühlt sich immer noch richtig an,
which are scientists and medics. There is the silver wing,
dann läuft was richtig falsch.
Ruling wing of the dome of the Cronus. There are blue wing, which are technicians and engineers, and there is this special orange wing, which contains ex-convicts, which were freed to go to the dome to do various manual labor.
So you've mentioned that the game is set in the early 70s. Not many games have been set in that time period. What prompted you to pick that specific time period?
Well, we think that the 70s is the perfect time for like our game, for what we are doing, because 70s is like the last tick on the timeline of the humanity, while there were some blind spots on the planet. First satellites and first people in space, it's all happened in late 50s and early 60s, right? And 70s is the last spot on the timeline when there's some, when satellites do not have this complete web surrounding the Earth and the planet, and there are some blind spots where such an amazing and dangerous place like Dome can be hidden. And from that place, from that time, the story takes its alternative path. Instead of going further to the space, humanity sort of descends into the Dome to study it and to do those scientific researches and do those miraculous discoveries, basically.
Yeah, so you mentioned that this is kind of like almost a parallel universe. How far did you deviate from what actually happened in the 70s compared to what happens in the game? I guess it's seen, as you said, that it devolves, it's quite a bit.
Yeah, obviously. So the main topic would be obviously that instead of continuing the Cold War, the West and East, if we can call those, they instead start to explore the ideas of like internationalism and exploring the Dome together and forming that super corporation Cronus, which is actually the only foundation that explores the dome, controls all the
Ich versuche gerade so nebenbei die Bücher zu checken, was er da für Bücher hat, aber die kann man glaube ich nicht lesen als Deutscher, weil es keine römische Schriftart ist, sondern
kind of bring it
kyrillisch.
back to the real world almost. Obviously, you guys are based in Russia, and life in the 70s was very different than life was in the West. How much of that do you think translates to an international audience once we get out there, and how much do you think people won't understand because they just, no one kind of really lived over there, or no one really knew what was happening over there?
Oh, as I said, I think the game pursues the ideas of internationalism when very different parties across the world could put their own struggles, political and other struggles aside to humanity become something bigger when it's combined with everyone.
Ist es jetzt eigentlich schon zu schnell oder ist es noch richtig für euch?
To be something more and to explore the dome, its dangers and.
Ich glaube, verständlich ist es gerade noch.
Now bringing it kind of back to you guys and the developers again. You mentioned that you were inspired by other games. What games really truly inspired it? Not just games, but media. And also, what do you and the team like as well when it comes to video games?
Well, we are here all the hardcore
Video
RPG
games.
fans, so it's not secret why we, I suppose, picked up a project
Es
like
sind
this.
keine Games, sondern es
and
sind
it's not a
Games.
secret that the game is it's in a very hard way was inspired by the Fallout series, well,
Je
and
schneller,
other
desto
great
besser.
RPG games of late 90s and early 2000s, and some modern ones too, actually.
So speaking about development, what was the hardest part of making the game for you guys?
I think the easy question would be what was the easy part. I can't really come with much things which were easy. It's all. It's an everyday struggle in a way. It's a marathon, but it's a happy marathon, and it's a happy everyday struggle basically for us.
Absolutely. And then moving into that more positive thing, the happy marathon. What are you most proud of when it comes to Encast?
I'm obviously proud of both the team and the project itself because both us here in the team and our community, we often forget that 3.5 years ago there was nothing, there was emptiness, nothing existed. And here now, 3.5 years later, both with the team effort and the feedback which we get from the community, there is this great universe, a curious world which is almost ready to be explored and to be adventured inside, basically.
And then moving on to the last question, what are the benefits of signing up with a global publisher like Koch Media and being on their new label?
So we think that signing with a partner
Kotsch
Koch Media
Media
is really great because it not only benefits us as developers, but such partnership also benefits our community, our players. We as developers, we get more time to work on the project and polish it so it would be in the perfect state, while our players will enjoy more localizations which will make the game more accessible to the wider
Echoes
audience.
of the
So
Endcom next.
voiceover done, which just make the game better and bring it on some other high level.
From an isometric, dystopian sci-fi RPG to our next title, which is a fresh take on the action-adventure genre. This team, all the way from Iceland, specifically built a mocap studio for this title, and has the incredible talent Aldous Hamilton as their lead protagonist. I got to sit down with the guys and ask them, what is this game all about?
So Echoes of the End is a cinematic, narrative-driven action-adventure game about Rin, a person who has trained all her life to be a warrior in service to a throne and is now searching and finding her own identity as she's cast away from the life she's always known. It's a game we wanted to make all our lives, basically. And for us, what we really wanted to explore was a marriage of a cinematic experience and the narrative, choice-driven storytelling of RPGs. Finding that bridge and union is what really inspired us to go and make our own video game.
Exactly, and such a big integral part of the experience is how you as a player choose to interact with the characters around you, the different companions, the characters that you'll run into when you're going about in the game. And,
Es ist zumindest auch verständlich und das sollte es auch sein. Auch wenn ich jetzt so viel
We're at a remarkable point in
überlaber.
the game industry where a relatively small team is able to tackle such an ambitious vision, and it's actually reasonable. And I think we've just recently arrived at that point. There have been some really great games making leaps in the past few years, kind of paving the way for this as the tools and hardware and software get more accessible and affordable for smaller developers.
Und das meine ich, kommt Leute,
in the early days of Mischgut,
entweder macht live und es ist auch ein Live-Format oder macht es aufgezeichnet, macht eine Premiere draus.
And it's an absolute dream for everyone at the company to be privileged enough to work on a game like this and to really shape.
Aber macht ihr nicht so ein,
Yeah, so kind of sticking on
oh,
that
wir
point of
wollen
development
gerne
and
ein
how technology often drives the
Live-Format
direction of how a game
sein,
evolves throughout its development. How close to the original concept is the game now?
That's a really good question.
weil man könnte da noch so viel
I would say we didn't
optimieren.
really do any large pivots. We did make some changes, of course, as the vision evolved and as we understood better kind of what the game was going to be and kind of how we scoped it to fit a team that would be able to execute
So
on it.
unoptimiert.
But I think, we were always, from day one that the idea for the game kind of conceptualized, we were looking at the technology that was allowed us
Da
to make
könnte man
this game.
locker aus diesen 2 Stunden Video
digital doubles for characters, scanned environments,
könnte man locker 1,30 machen.
next gen game engines, kind of all those
Ohne
things
dass
were
ich
in
jetzt
place
hier
for us to make the game. I think
fast
the primary
forward
things that have
machen
changed
muss.
in the making of the game
Das
are
ist
more in the
traurig.
details of
Ich muss
execution of
fast
that,
forward
how we
machen,
structure
damit ich
story,
es
what kind of game mechanics we want
machen
in a game
kann.
like that, and really what the identity of our game is and how we separate that from other games.
We genuinely have been making this game, even though it is slightly different.
Yeah.
my work as narrative director has not had to change a lot.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've mentioned obviously at the start and throughout what we've spoke about so far that you guys are based in Iceland, and everyone knows the like picturesque scenery of Iceland. Did you get much inspiration from your homeland and the environment?
Yes, absolutely. Iceland is such a phenomenal place to live in, and it's a beautiful country that's been featured in, many films and video games before us. And the funny thing is that us growing up in Iceland, this is normalcy for us. This is what we've been used to. It isn't until we visit other countries that we realize that the rest of the world isn't a fantasy land.
Oh my God, trees!
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely inspired by Iceland. And, I was working as a tour guide for the longest time, and a lot of us grew up in the country from different locations. And we pulled from those locations in the game, and even for some of them, we have nearly one-to-one replicas of them, in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the game itself isn't based in Iceland, of course. We're just taking inspiration from the more fantasy level vistas and visuals.
Because while all this is true, while we love Iceland and while we'd be fools not to utilize the access we have to Icelandic natural phenomena to scan and take references from, we don't want to make a game about Vikings because it's something that's been done a lot, and we really want to make a unique IP that is ours and that no one has seen before.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on characters, and you mentioned the main character at the very start. Tell us about her. Tell us, what made you choose her? Why does she exist the way that she exists?
I'll hand that one off to you.
Yeah, it's always a tricky question to answer without getting into any sort of spoilers.
Yeah.
But Rin is, as I say, she is a character, a person trained from birth to be a weapon in service to the crown. I was really fascinating in exploring the difference between a person that is, the juxtaposition between purpose and independence. And Rin is a character burdened by purpose and chained to it. She has been given a purpose, not of her own choosing, not by her own volition, but one that she has inherent to her birth and very existence. Throughout this game in particular, we want to explore the journey of going beyond that purpose and going beyond what role you are born into and seizing the world by the throat, basically.
Vielleicht muss ich mir mal das Video downloaden und da mal so ein bisschen Optimierung machen.
Certain challenges and certain superstitions that she's challenged to overcome. I think that's general enough to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, and just to add a layer to that, I think with the main character, she's
das aus quasi dem 2-Stunden-Content.
We're setting her in, we start with her familiar setting, her kind of role in society, and her kind of what's expected of her, and we kind of break free from
eben 1,45 oder so wird, dass man am Ende da nicht einpennt. Vielleicht auch so ein bisschen audiomäßig drüber arbeiten.
Really where the player also steps in and kind of forms those new relationships that Rin forms throughout the game, and really is an effector on those. I think, what really heightens Rin as
Wollen wir das mal irgendwann machen aus Spaß? Hier das Video nehmen, einfach komplett bearbeiten und dann ein komplett neues Video draus machen.
What's the hardest part of game
Und dann sagt hier Koch Media, viel Spaß.
But what's been the most challenging?
The most challenging part of game development.
I think that's a different answer for every team.
Yes, I think that's a different answer for every game, and I think it even might be a different answer for every team member, depending on the different perspective that they have into the game development. I think for us, it's been vitally important to find the right people to work on the game, and that's a really difficult thing to do, finding the right people who you believe in and who are really passionate about making games like this. And we've been lucky enough to find the right people.
Ich finde es irgendwie schade, dass diese Regale so leer sind.
On board with us making this game, and I think while that is,
Da, guck, da hast du nämlich in der Mitte ein Regal, das ist komplett leer. Das rechte Regal hat nur eine Lampe und ein Buch. Beim linken Regal war, glaube ich, eine Flasche.
Is it quite rich in terms of game development?
So, as usual,
gut, bei Homeoffice ist vielleicht auch verständlich. Aber
and among those in the Nordics, we have the most developers.
Ein Buch, ja, okay, ein Buch. Aber links ist eine Flasche, 2 Bücher. Und drauf ist auch noch was, aber 2 Sachen sogar. Rechts ist es eine Flusenbürste, was da oben drauf ist. Ja, in der Mitte rechts, ich hab's gesehen. Aber es ist vergleichsweise sehr leer. Also rechts hast du eine Flusenbürste stehen oben drauf, eine Lampe, ein Buch. 2 Bücher, einmal oben 2 des rechts und einmal rechts 1. Dann in der Mitte hast du ein Buch, links hast du 2 Bücher zumindest, eine Trinkflasche und oben drauf steht so was anscheinend wie eine Boombox und eine Flasche Kleber. Ja, jetzt fangen wir an, hier die ganze Kulisse zu analysieren.
It's a difficult question to answer because there's so many things. I mean, making games is, it takes so many people to do so many things for it to go correctly. And I think what we're most proud of is that so far we seem to be doing it correctly with the great people. So I think what we're most proud of is the team and the progress that we made with this team.
Yeah, I think that's a very good answer in general. That just the talent we've collected around us and the friendships that have formed so strongly within this company. Yeah.
Das ist immer so was wie eine Restmülltüte.
Drive it forward.
And then, finally, guys, what are the benefits of signing up with a global publisher like Koch Media and being part of their brand new label?
That's a great question.
Jedes Mal, wenn ich Kotsch Media höre, von Kotsch Media oder Koch Media einen Euro bekommen würde, ich glaube, die wären pleite.
We talk about the things that have been the most difficult, and that's building the team, and the things that we're most proud of, which is again the team that we built. And for us, Koch is a fantastic extension to the team.
Hat Koch gesagt.
It's a publisher full of great people who are really passionate about games, and they're empowering us to deliver these games, worldwide. And I think that is anything a developer and a business developer could ask for in a publisher.
And we are absolutely glad to have you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and I cannot wait to give people more information about Echoes at the end.
From one side of the globe all the way to the other. If you like the game Gothic and hardcore RPGs, The Last Oricru is just for you. I got to sit down with two of the guys from Gold Knights and talk all about them and their new game.
Hello there, guys. Today I am joined by Gold Knights creative and game director Pavel Strnad and executive producer Vladimir Gershil to talk about their game, The Last Oricru.
Hi, Pavel. Hi, Pavel.
So you guys make The Last Oricru. What is the game about?
It's an action RPG where I try to show the relativity of good and evil from different perspectives of living and breathing world.
So when you guys say living and breathing, what do you mean exactly?
It is important to understand that The Last Oricru is quite challenging and skill-based RPG, but compared to many other titles in this genre, our story does not take place in some dark and deadly realm. Waking up in a living and breathing sci-fi medieval world of Wardenia, players find themselves in the middle of war for supremacy over the whole planet. There's something interesting about the war, as usually warriors of each side believe that they do the right thing, often fighting for survival and well-being of their people. So the idea of the game is to show the player the war and the euphoria of the winners, but also the misery of the losers, to make the player realize that the number of decisions he can make in the game will affect all the living beings in the world.
So you mentioned that you make choices during The
Lass
Last
mal
Oricru.
sehen.
How impactful are they?
The impact is major. First of all, you are the one who decides which
5
side will win the
Minuten
war.
dauert
There are
jetzt
many
dieses
different roads
Gelaber.
through the game,
Man sieht
and you can experience the whole game
kein
only after
Gameplay.
multiple playthroughs. I want to give every player his own experience and try not to push
Dann
anyone
kommt hier
for what is
wahrscheinlich
wrong and what is right. Simply,
Hey,
you make the decision and actions, and based on that, individual characters have their own reactions.
Oh.
This creates different situations, so you can find your own friends and allies and play the way how you think it's right or fun. Exactly. Each player can define their own path to side with different factions or betray them and influence the future of each race and in the end the entire planet, basically. And it is not done just by few choices somewhere in dialogues or by completing some quests, but by your continuous actions and decisions. Let me give you an example. In many scenarios, you are asked to kill the general of 13 people. And you can obviously refuse doing that, but if you decide to kill him, there are many possibilities of what you can do with his head, which serves as a proof of his death. You can keep it and become hero, or you can give it to the queen and come closer to her heart, or you can give it to another characters of this conflict with different outcomes.
While I'm playing, guys, if I decide to be a little bit mischievous and kind of go down the route of everyone hating me, what does that mean for me?
Yes, there is an option that you will try to do as much harm to do as many beings as possible, and there are some dark characters that will be pleased by that. However, cooperation with them may be eventually very painful for you. That's another interesting thing, that often there is some hidden party involved in many wars, which profits from both sides of the conflict and the conflict itself. So that's a bit of the hidden part in the game, which you can play, but it will be a little bit difficult to play.
So the game has co-op. Can a friend help me with the boss battles? Can we play the whole entire game together? How does this work?
You know those lonely nights when you play games which are super exciting for you, but you feel a little bit sad that you cannot share that experience with anyone? That was generally the idea. Yeah, there is a great demand for couch play in the whole third-person action RPG genre. So we are sure that for our future audience, the co-op is going to be one of the most, or the key features of our game. And that's why we went even farther. We have many situations what can be solved in co-op differently than in single player. So you can find new fun ways of how to kill some bosses, or solve some puzzles, or reach some special secret areas.
Also ich muss ganz ehrlich sagen,
combat is bread and butter of an RPG. So if you, for example, play as a melee tank, while the second player plays a magic support, you will enjoy tens of awesome hours of
das Tolle bei Koch Media ist ja, dass die deutschsprachig sind.
What does this mean for the combat of the game?
Ich glaube, falls die nächstes Jahr wieder E3-mäßig was machen und es wird genauso öde und die haben trotzdem vor, nochmal weiter zu machen. Ich glaube, ich bewerbe mich da mal, um hier mal deren Media-Pioneer zu sein. Ich habe so das Gefühl, ich habe da mehr Ahnung als die.
Guys, I just want to ask you, what does it mean to be under Koch Media's brand new label?
Honestly, it was the best step we could do in our game development. It helped us dramatically increase the capacity of our development team and focus primarily on the game itself. And yet, we still have the full creative control over the game, and all the feedback we are getting is still helping us to make it.
Ich bin echt mal gespannt, ob da sich nach Corona was ändert bei denen. Ob das jetzt nur weil es Corona ist, so ist, oder ob da auch nach Corona mehr oder weniger die so Pressekonferenzen machen.
New Koch Media label gives us a great opportunity to fully achieve it. Thank you so much, Pavel and Vladimir, for your time. It's been awesome talking to you about everything the Lust Aura crew, and I just can't wait for people to get their hands on it.
Payday 3, das könnte wieder geil werden.
We tease it in the sizzle, and now let's hear from our friends at Starbreeze to talk about Payday 2, Payday 3, and their upcoming cooperation with Prime Matter.
Thank you, Jeff, and hi, everyone. We're excited to be here, excited to talk about Payday, and excited to be working with Prime Matter. At Starbreeze, we see Payday as the ultimate bank robbing experience, inspired by classic heist movies, providing adrenaline-fueled gameplay where you get to experience the thrill of being on the wrong side of the law with a smart plan and a gun in your hand.
Payday
This
gespielt.
is what we've been doing since the original game, Payday the Heist, through the sequel, Payday 2, to the upcoming Payday 3. And our ever-growing player community, our heisters, continue to be an inspiration
Das ist
for
zum
us in
Beispiel
everything we
sehr
do,
gut
pushing
gemacht.
us to make the best Payday possible.
Der redet und zeigt ein bisschen was darüber. Das ist gut. Koch. So macht man das.
The world of Payday is an exaggerated reflection of reality,
Du hast
where order is
Gelaber,
kept
du
by the
siehst die
long arm of the
Typen,
law.
die da
At
reden.
least until
Du
the
siehst
heisters
aber
turn this
auch
order into
ein
chaos,
bisschen
giving the
Gameplay,
law the
damit
making.
du
That's
siehst,
when
über
adrenaline
was sie
truly kicks
reden.
in and the
Das
outnumbered gang
ist
keeps meeting the
perfektes,
odds, often escaping with the
abgemischtes
cash in a hail of bullets.
Szenario.
The Payday universe
Du
has
hast nicht
an
zu
ongoing
viel
narrative that has been
Gameplay,
created over the
das
years. The gang
unkommentiert
has
ist,
built a reputation by
zusammengeschnitten
going after
wurde, weil
highest-profile
du
targets,
keine
setting up
5
some of the
Minuten Gameplay
craziest
am Stück
heist
zeigen
plans
kannst.
and going up against some of the most
Dann hast du aber
powerful
nochmal
enemies. And through all of this,
15
the gang
Minuten lang
keeps
Gelaber
coming
über
out
das
on top.
Spiel.
In
Das
their
hier
exploits, the gang has
ist
become, as they call
gut.
it, the tightest crew ever. The wider criminal underworld of Payday lives its own life, where movers and shakers want a piece of the action, or a piece of the Payday gang. In the gang's life of crime, they are way past the point of no return. And as we look ahead for what's to come, the gang will learn that there's no rest for the wicked.
Und dann ist halt audiomäßig noch scheiße abgemischt.
This legacy is something that we treasure and will build on, expanding
ja.
on this epic story, taking you all with us into the future of Payday. Many millions of players have enjoyed Payday so far. It's been an amazing journey for us at Starbreeze. On Steam, Payday 2 has the biggest player community of any game. This truly means the world to us.
Payday turns 10 this year, but we're only getting started. With our team hard at work, cooperation with Prime Matter and other partners, and above all, a fantastic player community, we are looking to the future with great anticipation.
I'm rich. It's Payday, fellas!
The release of Payday 3 is years away, but we could finish off today with a sneak peek of what we're working on, a taste of things to come.
Also kurz gesagt, 2 Spiele gab es hier, die mir gefallen.
Well, they
Payday
have it quite a lineup, and Opal, I know we're going to be hearing much more
und
from Prime
das
Matter in
Dead
the weeks and months
Space
ahead, right?
Gedöns.
That's a great question, Jeff.
Und alle anderen Spiele habe ich schon wieder vergessen. Und ich habe sogar das Dead Space Gedöns vergessen,
3 times a week,
weil
every
da
week,
zu viel
Prime
gelabert
does
wurde.
Gameplay content, achievement and trophy hunting streams, as well as Dungeons and Dragons in our own universes, cooking streams, and so much more. We also want to get our developers involved and have it so that you guys get to know our developers better. Not only that, but expect to see a lot more shows from us in the future. And Jeff can help us out too.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see what Prime Matter has for us in the future. Thanks for announcing with us yesterday at Summer Game Fest, and I look forward to being back with you again later this summer.
No worries, Jeff, and thank you for your time. It's been awesome hosting with you, and I can't wait to do more in the future. And a thanks to you guys watching, to the streamers who are co-streaming, to our new gamers who are looking forward to the titles that we've shown you today. We are focusing on making fun, unique, and honest content for you guys. So, stay safe, stay cool, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye!
Stream over. Yay! Wir haben es geschafft. Also so kurz gesagt, wir können ein 2-Stunden-Video, wovon die ersten... Warte mal, wir können ja gucken. So, die ersten 7 Minuten Countdown sind. Und die letzten 2 Minuten quasi in Stream-Over-Screen sind. Das sind 9 Minuten, die wir sparen können. Punkt. Dann kann man wahrscheinlich, wenn du dieses eine lange Gameplay von diesem Dead Space-like Game hast, mit dem Gelaber wahrscheinlich noch irgendwie passend dazu mischen kannst, kannst du wahrscheinlich 1 Stunde 45 draus machen. Payday 2 ist das einzige, wo ich jetzt so sage, ey, da haben sie die Mischung aus Gelaber und Gameplay oder halt you know what, perfekt hinbekommen. Alles andere war Käse. Also, die haben, glaube ich, nur 2 Games gezeigt. Warte mal, wir gucken mal kurz. So. Das ist ja nur der Trailer. Hier, The Prime Matter. Das ist ja kein Gameplay. Gelaber. Dann kommt das nächste Gelaber. Dann kommt das nächste Gelaber. Dann kommt hier Recall. Da ist ja so ein Trailer, glaube ich. Und dann kommt hier etwas, glaube ich, mit Dolmen. Ich glaube, da war auch Gameplay mit dabei. Und dann kommt halt wieder Gelaber. Viel zu viel Gelaber. Also ich denke mal, du kannst mit einer guten Abmischung, mit einem guten Video-Editing-Programm, kannst du aus diesen 2 Stunden, was nicht mal 2 Stunden sind, 1,45 bis 1,30 machen. Und du verlierst dann nicht die komplette Aufmerksamkeit. Ja. Also, just saying, das war quasi die Koch Primetime, ja, you know, in Fast Forward von zwischen 1,25 bis 2-facher Geschwindigkeit. Yay! Ich hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß. Ich hatte es nicht. Danke.